Board meeting to order. We all rise for a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have the secretary perform a roll call attendance, please.
Here.
Here.
Here?
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Okay, all the members of the board have received the minutes from the June 6th meeting. If there are no questions or concerns, entertain a motion to accept the minutes as prepared.
So made.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our first item this evening is adjourned public hearing for site plan and special use permit for Jiffy Lube Multi-Care. Entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there anybody here this evening that wishes to speak in regard to the Jiffy Lube Multi-Care, which is going on Route 9? Okay, seeing there's none, at the request of the applicant, they would like to have this public hearing adjourned to July the 6th. So, entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Bruce, I didn't see any signs up for that. Other signs up for that?
I thought there was one out there by
Is
the
it
road.
supposed to be on 9 and those side roads?
Should just be on 9,
On 9?
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, on the front, I
need
believe there
one
was
on
one at
Myers
one
on the
point
other
at the
side.
front of the property, right in front of their location.
Yeah,
I drive by there every day going to work, so.
Right.
probably just used to not.
Yeah, and it's probably gone now. It probably got,
Do they have to repost it then for the extension?
Not for extensions.
okay.
No, because you could, say it was open and a lot of people were here, you can keep adjourning it for months, but the sign wouldn't stay up.
Yeah.
The sign's just so you know there's a public hearing coming.
Yeah, so we, June the 6th, yeah, well, we had just opened it on June the 6th, so it would have just been there, would have been there in May then.
Yeah.
Yeah, or back whenever we scheduled
Add
the
it to
public
the
hearing.
list.
Okay.
So,
Probably laying in the road.
I mean, a lot of times we go by and it's commercial.
You don't require them to see
Okay.
pictures of the building.
No.
all right,
Okay. Of posting the sign? Oh, you do? Okay.
no, so we do have an affidavit for it.
Yep, sorry.
Okay. All right, so with that said, our next item is a discussion regarding the Kimmel subdivision. Is the applicant or the applicant, oh, there it is, okay.
Hi, I'm Eric Rogie with Hudson Land Design, the engineer for this. Can I plug this? So it's been a while. I think we were here a few years ago for, I think it was like a pre-application
Yeah, it was
meeting.
quite a while
I
ago.
don't think it was a full meeting. So we're finally getting around to it.
Yeah, on that note, while they're setting up, I just want to state for the record, it was myself who presented the application at that time. So I have, on the advice of council, recused myself from any review of this project. There's another engineer in our office, Pete Tapero, who will be overseeing the review.
Okay.
do it.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, you can't really see it too well, but I'll give you a brief summary of the work. It's 3 existing parcels on the corner of Pine Ridge Drive and Old Hopewell Road. One of the parcels has an existing dwelling, and we are proposing to subdivide it into 5 parcels to create 4 buildable lots. So it'll be 5 total lots with the existing dwelling. This is not working very well. 3 of the lots will have access. I'll just keep talking. There's 3 of the lots have access to Pine Ridge Drive. 2 of them are proposed to have a common drive. And I know there was a comment about providing a plan for showing separate driveways. I did not have that comment in hand when we were preparing the plan, so on the next go-around, we'll have all that information for how the separate driveways could be built. The last lot is connected to, has frontage on and driveway to Old Hopewell Road, County Road. All the lots are going to have individual wells and septics. The health department was out there and witnessed the deep tests. Lot 4 is the one, is a lot located underneath the utility easement. We are proposing to reuse the existing earth road that the utility companies use for access. It seemed like the logical road to use. It goes right up the middle. Show it to you while it's still working. There's an existing easement that goes all the way through the lot and follows the utility lines, which are located across the top here. And we're going to put the house about 400 feet in from Pine Ridge Drive. We'd like to keep the surface the way it is currently because the utility company has told us that they don't want to be responsible to damage if we pave it or improve it in any way, so we want to try to keep it the way it is for now. And I know there's some concerns about the slopes, and I think we can do the 25 feet of pavement at the entrance, but we'd really like to keep it as earth for the remainder of it, just so there's no issues with the utilities.
So what's the slope of the driveway from, I mean, obviously the first 25 feet is going to get paved, but what would be the slope beyond the 25 feet?
25
Roughly, would it exceed the 6% at any point?
It's nearly flat to here, and then it gets up to about 14% for this little stretch, and then it flattens out and goes downhill. And the driveway into the garage is right there. So it's really this small piece of the driveway that's over 6%. So I know the code says you need to pave the entire length. If any portion is over 6%, what I'm thinking with such a small section of the driveway being steep, there must be a compromise that we could come to for that.
Yeah.
That's only access for the one house, right?
Yes, yeah, they won't go any further than right here, which is their going into the garage, and then the easement and the dirt road continue, and they follow the transmission lines west for a while. They go underneath the easement. There's also an easement under the utility lines that goes right down the middle of this whole thing. I think 60-foot easement that crosses into it. That's the access easement is separate from the utility line easement.
But they can't access through the utility lines themselves?
There is a driveway there that they can use, and I think they can use both. I don't know if the one directly underneath was too steep, so they wanted a backup just in case. I'm not sure, but from what I hear is they use it maybe once a year to get in there. It's not used all the time. It's just, they're very concerned about damaging things with their trucks. Even though the risk is low, they're concerned about it.
Yeah, just, yeah, I mean, the code, I think if it exceeds it, I don't think there's any real, relief that we can give,
Okay.
from the code. It's not like it's it's not like a sign. You want to put a sign up that's, 10% bigger than what's allowed. We do have some leeway to address that, but this issue, I believe, from an earlier discussion with council, we don't have any way to relieve that.
I don't believe you have the waiver
That-
power,
I mean, you can certainly get a variance.
yeah.
Yeah,
And there is, so there's a couple of different provisions in our code, which are, the subdivision regulations have one discussion regarding grades. I think it's 240-100, which deals with driveways, has a separate, I believe that's 10%. And then you also got to comply with the New York State Fire Code provisions for driveways.
yeah, which was
So-
another thing I was gonna get to too, because
Right.
that's the slope itself. I mean, how do you, even if we were able to give you relief and say you do a portion of it, if everything's relatively flat and then you build up, with that 14% grade, how do you prevent it from washing out? The homeowner might, be fine getting up and down it, but in case there's an emergency, what happens when an ambulance or a fire engine has to get up that hill?
Especially in the winter too, on 14%, that's a lot on a dirt road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, and then seeing that they have, they do have an access through the actual portion with the utility lines. I mean, why, does it make sense not to pave it then for, the potential buyer of the home? Then they're not worrying about the driveway washing out at the end of the day.
Okay.
The other question is, I don't know if our code permits a 14% grade, whether or not it is paved.
You think there's a cap at 10%, is what you're saying?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Can that be cut down?
Well, that was my other question. Yeah, can you grade that out so that you don't have, if it's not the full length of it, it's just a small piece, can you grade it out?
We might be able to extend it out. I don't think we can cut it down. This is the septic, it's going right between the two fields of the septic system, so we're kind of,
I mean, I think you
we got to get to there at least.
have to make, you could theoretically make a switchback and go in front of the house and then come back.
We're trying to keep it
I know.
within the easement, and
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to want to do the switchbacks with their trucks, but we can look into it. We could potentially elongate it.
Do they have any rights outside of the easement?
No, it's just
Okay.
within the easement.
Because, it looks like the steep portion of the property is outside of the utility easement, correct?
We have pump utility lines, the steeper areas out there.
I think what he's
Yeah.
saying is that you could redirect the personal driveway, maintain the existing access easement, and redirect the personal driveway with the switchbacks, but I think what the applicant is saying is they'd rather not do that.
No,
and have them
I
be the same.
understand.
Yeah.
How long is the portion that's too steep?
It's not more than 100 feet. The total length of the driveway to the house is a little over 400 feet.
Can you average that portion out a bit, push some of it, have it, a little steeper on the flat areas? just
Yeah,
to-
we can look into it. This was our first shot at it. We wanted to kind of try to leave it exactly as it was before doing any major work. So we can look into some ways to flatten it out a bit.
If you can't, a 14, we're talking about 14 degrees? Or
14%,
14%,
yeah. That's steep.
pretty steep. Blacktop would actually be advantageous, I'm thinking, because just to get up and down, and forget about the erosion part of it, just to not slide going down, not slide going up
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
Because 14 degrees is steep. It's pretty steep, especially going up. Going down is gonna be easy, going up, that's gonna be tough. So the blacktop might help, actually.
Yeah. And we'll look into that.
But I don't know if you gotta get the variance for that with the condition, if you're gonna offer a condition for an exception to get it blacktop, I don't see why anybody would, I mean, I can't speak for others, but I mean, if you're willing to blacktop it, it's good all around.
You may also, I mean, I don't know if Jim's looking for it now, but he alluded to the idea that you may need two variances, right? The one that says if you're more than 6%, the full length of that driveway needs to be paved, and then there may just be a cap on how steep driveways
So
can be.
240-100, subdivision B, says for one-family residences, the maximum grade for any new driveway or one-family dwelling shall be 12%, except that where it can be demonstrated to the satisfaction of the approving authority that because of practical difficulty or unreasonable hardship affecting a particular property, construction of a driveway shall be permitted provided the increase in driveway grade is the minimum increase required, and further provided that in no case shall such driveway grade be permitted to exceed 15%. And then no driveway serving a single-family dwelling shall have a grade in excess of 4% within 35 feet of the center line of the traveled way of the street, or within 10 feet of the right-of-way line of the street, whichever distance is greater.
So 15% would be his maximum with
Correct.
demonstration that he's gonna do something.
So it's 12% unless
12.
he can demonstrate.
Then it could be maximized to 15?
Right.
You're golden.
Okay. So if we can get under 12, then one variance would most
Or
likely
keep it
get-
at the 14 and, you know what I mean, and just demonstrate what we're talking about right here. I don't see it being an issue.
You
Okay.
still need the variance for the paving, though.
Yeah,
if
that's
you-
what I mean.
If
Right.
you want to not pave that.
Okay. We'll have to discuss that and figure out which way we want to go with that.
Yeah.
There's a few
You
ways to go.
got a couple options there.
Yeah, okay.
How are you?
I could take a look at
Just the pitch, or what do you think?
I'll take another look at the language, but I believe because the access easement and the driveway are two independent things functionally, and the way that I read it initially, it would just be to the house, right? It would just be the driveway, not the access easement. So because a section of the driveway, which goes from the road to the house, exceeds 6%, the length of that road from, the length of the driveway from the road to the house would need to be paved, or a variance would need to be granted. But you wouldn't need to pave it up to the power utility easement. That would not be required.
Now, just let me clarify. So I'm looking at the site plan and subdivision plat,
Okay.
and same one you have. Now, there's kind of within the power lines, it says 10-foot earth access road?
Yeah, there's a second access road right underneath the power lines as
Okay.
well.
And then the existing driveway, so there's a gate, so the gate is outside of the easement.
Gates on the easement, there's an easement, a road easement, that they open the gate once a year, they drive up to the trucks and inspect the power lines at the top. On occasion, if that, there's an issue, something with tracks that would destroy the blacktop.
So, I mean, what this is showing is that gate is outside of the existing right-of-way?
There's a right of way for the power line, I think it's approximately 160 feet.
Right.
Straight up.
Mhm.
And then where the gate is on the bottom is the entrance they've been using for years, they're deeded right away with that driveway.
Oh, there is a deeded right-of-way for that?
25 feet wide that they've been using for.
All right, so if you could get that in, the deeded right-of-way info, so that we could look at that?
Yeah, I met with the head person before we even.
This is Power Authority easement? Okay,
I think that was part of the application. I think we
Okay.
gave a bunch of,
The supervisor, and he said that before we got involved here, I wanted to.
Sure.
He said that they would have a problem with subdividing, they used that road, but they were concerned with the issue it was paved, they would destroy it.
right,
I tried to get the house closer to the front, wherever we can, bring it down.
right.
And maybe now we can save a few work to try and get as low as possible.
And we'll need to fill,
It's actually a nice spot, it's cool, that's why I like it, because you can find the spot, it's hard to
Sure.
the house. Right?
Okay,
So if this gets approved, that access road goes around the back of the house? Can something be put on the plat or something so that any future home buyers know that they may not get a pool or other larger items in their backyard?
Similar to the conversation we had about disclosing wetland buffers or other easements.
Because you won't
on
see
the
it when you
property.
buy it,
yeah.
but that property is going to have issues for future buyers with that road that they can't put a pool or swing set or something in that easement.
so we could call something out on the plan, just say.
Something should be
road-
called
road
out
to
for
Well, I mean,
remain.
the easement's gonna have, if it's a deeded easement, it will have to be shown on the
Right.
plat.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it
that-
is, I would, if I sell, I would.
Right, I'm worried about the third and fourth buyer that they don't always see the easements.
Well, if it's a deeded easement, our code requires it to be shown on the plat.
Right. So will they look at it?
We'll just show them times.
Well, I'm just saying,
Well, that's just it.
I'm just saying, nobody in Miracle Circle knew that they had easements all around their property, so.
all right. Well, I mean, that's, okay, so they'll show that on the plot plan now, when they, for the parcel. All right, so you're gonna work on checking with the grades. And then the other thing too is if you do decide that, that you're trying to not pave this, I'd like to see you have a conversation with the fire inspector and possibly the fire department also to confirm that they're okay with that,
Okay.
with the driveway situation. Because again, they're gonna be the ones probably with the biggest issue if there's a steep hill there. It's gonna be an access issue for them to get up to the house. So if you can reach out to the fire inspector, and I believe he could facilitate a meeting with, with himself and the fire chief from New Hackensack Fire Department, they cover that area.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
the easement is part of the submission. It's denominated as easement dash 3604.
Okay. All right. Okay, then you said the other, what's the other issue we were talking about? The, showing the two separate access driveways, you'll show that on future submission?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
no problem, I can show that. And does that need to be part of the plan set, or is that a separate exhibit?
Part of the plan set, I believe, right?
I mean, it could just be a close-up, a detail on the back, right? I mean, you don't need to generate a whole sheet just
Okay.
for that, but, I mean, it would need to have quite a bit of information, things like, not, as opposed to just drawing it on there, we need to make sure that the grading is gonna work out, that you're not gonna spill over onto adjacent lot, right? Because those are both, 50-foot wide flags.
Yes.
And I'm not totally sure what the grade there is, maybe it's not gonna be a problem, but, I mean, you can do a close-up, you can do an inset, but we'll need all the same information, right? We need to make sure that it's viable, that two separate driveways is still viable.
Yeah, I think we'll need to show a retaining wall to get that, to show to grade in, but
Okay.
it's doable.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions for?
Yeah, I've got a few comments on mine. I guess the simple one, you should reach out to the DEC. You got pinged for Indiana bat and Blanding's turtle, so we'll need the Indiana bat note on the plans. And, I don't work at the DEC. From what I looked at, I don't imagine that there is potential habitat and I think that the DEC will tell you that, but we'll need that letter, and that should be provided to the town for the record.
Okay.
I have to talk to the town superintendent of highways and the county DPW for site distances on the new driveways. Should double check the math on the lot areas. I found some discrepancies in those in a couple of different places.
Okay. I checked those, and it seemed the only difference I had was between the EAF and the plans. There was a .01 difference in acreages. There's existing lot areas that are called out too, in addition to the proposed.
I thought I was looking at the proposed lot areas, but it was a little confusing, the labeling of the lots, because we've got existing lots and then proposed lots, but all of the lots are changing.
Yeah.
Right, none of the existing lots will be present. So, the
No, they're all
proposed lots are still lots 1 through 5, and when I added up that square footage, I still got
Okay.
a bunch of different numbers.
All right.
So double check that. Yeah. That's me, other than secret action, unlisted action we talked earlier today
Which,
about declaring ourselves lead
we're
agency.
gonna bring that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
So, we have all the different agencies. Do we want to circulate for us to be lead agency for this project?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody make a motion to circulate for
I'll
lead
make that
agency.
motion.
I'll second.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Secretary will circulate that to all involved agencies and see if any objections come up in the next 30 days. All right, so other than that, is there any other direct questions anybody has for this subdivision? No. Okay. All right, did you have any other further questions for the board?
When's the earliest we could do a public hearing? Is it possible to do that at the next meeting, or?
Public hearing. Well, we just circulated for lead agency, so, I mean, we're looking at, let's see.
The second meeting in July is July 18th, so for the 30 days
Yeah.
to pass, you're looking at August.
Yeah, I'm looking at first, probably, I was gonna say, the August meeting.
Okay.
We could do that if that's, not acceptable for you.
All right.
We don't need any of those corrections we were just talking about before we do that?
And it all has to be submitted prior to the public hearing. Which I
Hopefully
think all the items we discussed tonight, you should be able to address that within the plans.
Yeah, we should be able to work out our definite plan by the next meeting, which way we're
Okay.
gonna go. So nothing will change after that.
All right, so as long as that information is submitted prior to the August meeting date, so it can be reviewed, and we can discuss if there's any issues at that time.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
so we'll see you in August.
Do you want a motion for the public hearing? Motion to set the public hearing?
Oh, yeah, I forgot, we started doing that. So
yeah.
entertain a motion to set the public hearing
So
for,
made.
was it
Second.
August, what was the date,
August
August the 1st?
August 1st.
Yeah. Okay, motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. All right, okay, next item on the agenda this evening is a special use permit for Mid-Hudson Islamic Association solar array.
Yep. Hi, my name's Sam Wylo. I'm from Sun Common. Ahmad Shah from the Mid-Hudson Islamic Mosque. So solar-wise, it's a pretty straightforward installation for us. It's about 80 modules on the roof, dealing with that undulating roof surface and 4 or 5 mounting planes. And I heard your discussion from earlier about combining the lots. Mr. Shah has started the process of combining those lots into one. And part of what we like to do sometimes is combine meters because it's more advantageous when dealing with the excess power. So there's a number of different schemes we can approach Central Hudson with in terms of billing, and combining meters is a net metered project rather than remote crediting, where they credit a discounted rate towards his total bill. So combining the meters is more advantageous for him. And he is in the process of combining those two lots. What it physically looks like if the lots don't get combined and he goes to sell one in the future, it's a simple new service request at Central Hudson's new service desk. All the infrastructure will still be there. We're going to have to pull their meter, and so there'll be an empty meter slot on that secondary building. But the feeder lines will still be coming in. We'll just have to stub them out right above that meter.
Okay.
And I brought my computer. Our offices were closed today. I got the response from, I believe, Mr. Boendorf today, but my office was closed, so I couldn't get my printer going or anything like that. But I have a bunch of stuff on my computer if you want. It's kind of like the structural analysis, I believe, off the top of my head. It's on my computer.
Yeah.
Structural analysis, the request for signature.
You may or may not have overheard the discussion you've had.
I did.
We're gonna tie those requirements to the building permit, not
Okay.
the site plan. So
Yeah, we typically hold off on getting stamps until either as-built or a building department wants them. But we do have a stamped structural letter from West Shore Engineering.
Okay.
Those stamps just cost money every time we get them.
Sure.
So we like to wait as long as possible.
Yep. Okay.
And then there was discussion,
About height? Yeah.
height. We don't, as a practice, put panels any higher than any roof surface. Roof peak.
Yeah,
Yeah, just as practice, it gets messy.
yeah.
And then you also have wind uplift that causes a whole other factor that we don't want to think about accounting for. Right.
I mean, in the code, you also have 6 feet of wiggle room, and I can't imagine that you're going to use that, so I don't think it's going to be an issue, but.
You're saying we can put them 6 feet higher than the building?
Then the maximum building height can
Oh,
be
I see.
exceeded with solar panels, provided that it does not exceed the maximum building height by
Oh,
more
I
than
see.
6 feet.
I see.
But I think that was probably written a long time ago when
Right.
rooftop solar looked
That was
very
probably for evacuated water tube pipes, the ones that are actually canted
tilted up and
Exactly,
capturing that, yeah.
So these are flush mount. It's a L-foot bracket with a bunch of roof tar embedded in it. L-foot bracket and then a aluminum rail, and then they get clamped right onto the rail. So it's probably 6 to 8 inches at most, depending on the footing we use.
It's basically flat with the roof plane.
Yeah, I mean, you can notice them, but
Right.
yeah, it's
But
less
it
than you
doesn't,
would.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
stick up.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and aesthetically, we don't put them higher than any ridge.
So it wouldn't
Well.
increase the maximum building height anyway.
Not at all.
Well, you can't put them higher than the ridge.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
that's also it.
the fire code tells you can't.
Fire code.
Yeah.
Yeah, nearly.
Yeah, okay.
Unless it's an open building and there's access on the other side, because all they're doing is punching a hole.
Right.
So
You
if it's
could
an
go,
open
you could go
chasm,
to the ridge, right.
Right. Typically, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some municipalities that don't care, but we just don't ever design systems that way. Yeah. Mainly, it doesn't look good.
Right, okay. So that, which raises the question, because the Fire Prevention Bureau looked at, this particular plan set, and they had concerns with the fact of the power running from one building to another.
Right. So by
So that's-
law, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that becomes, more of the issue, is where, how and where is it gonna run to? Are you gonna, you're running it to the back of the house, is the meter that's currently on the house on a different plane of the house? Then it becomes the issue with signage, that people know, because if, for some reason the panels don't shut off, now Central Hudson kills the power of the house because there's an emergency, but now you have this power source on the other part of the property, you know, there needs to be a significant amount of signage to let the fire department be aware that there's still an electrical hazard.
Right, and so that is covered in the site plan. There has to be signage by every disconnect, and the adjacent house where we're feeding in, we're gonna feed in right next to, adjacent to the meter, the existing meter pan.
Okay,
There must be signage on there. I think it's red with white lettering, it's reflective at night. There must be signage on every disconnect.
right,
And the disconnect from the mosque leading out to there, so there's a disconnect on the mosque, there's a disconnect on that building also. So each building has a disconnect.
yep,
And the disconnect on the mosque will also, it will have to be, it'll have to say there is power going to that building. So where you have a meter, you normally also have a disconnect on that adjacent building. That will be our disconnect.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, but the Central Hudson meter coming from the street, and if you have you're gonna have another disconnect coming from the other building at that same
We're
location.
gonna be rich in disconnects on this job, yeah.
Okay,
So Central Hudson's meter, they also require signage on their meter
correct.
and a disconnect located, I think, I wanna say it's within 10 feet of wire and in line of sight. So there will have to be a disconnect right there also,
Yes,
at the street entry, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
But that's all NEC and NY, whatever solar code. Yeah, that's all pretty standard for us.
All right. That was the outcome of theirs.
And in regards to Central Hudson, we do have their approval for the job so far. We have an approval for the meter combination and the actual solar.
Okay. All right, and that's even with it being two separate parcels and,
Yeah, so that was kind of a struggle, getting the meter combination done. That's not a typical process we do,
Yeah.
but it was, so basically we applied for a job number, we submitted a form, and then we talked to them about the logistics of it and what it looks like on the end. And so then we got the distributed generation, the solar part approved as well. And we told them we'd like to do all of this construction at once we get a building permit.
okay. All right. Any board members have any questions regarding the proposal?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, and then obviously we just, as the engineer did mention with his letter, you know, items 6 and 7, that could be deferred to the building permit.
Was that the stamp
the-
on the plans?
Yeah, that's more the, yeah.
Okay.
But to go back to the stamp and signature of the proposal, I believe that legally you need to provide us stamped plans
I can do that.
for an approval, according to Department of Education.
For the Department of Education.
No, the Department of Education regulates the use of a engineer stamp,
Oh, sure, yeah.
actually Office of Professional, but I believe you're supposed to submit to us a plan with a stamp and signature on it.
Okay.
Site plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
site plan.
We'll
yeah.
get the entire,
structural plan, or the structural calcs or
Yeah.
whatever plans, as part of the building department, they need to stamp that.
okay.
I don't think they need to provide that ahead of time.
The which?
The
The structural plan, no, we don't need that, but but,
But a stamp.
yeah, but if
site
you need
plan.
a stamp set, you need a stamp set of plans to this board.
Just to
For the
clarify, do you
approval.
mean a
So whatever your,
signature box for you?
right, so the
or-
site plan,
Okay.
right, so the site plan you're submitting needs to be, has to bear the stamp and signature of an engineer or architect.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, that's the
course.
way the law reads.
Yeah, sure.
Licensed in the state of New York,
Huh?
Right, yeah.
with a New York license.
Yeah,
Yes,
my
with
boss
that, yeah.
usually does it. We'll get that done.
Yeah, actually, I
And
had
we'll just get the whole plan set stamped, every page.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's
That's fine.
easier.
okay. Other than that, I think, great, Malcolm, you addressed all your, well,
Yeah,
just
all my
had a couple
comments
of
are done.
questions.
I am curious about, I guess, with Jim and Barbara, how, because they are coming in for a two-lot consolidation. That's probably not going to happen until after this, though. They're moving forward with this. It sounds like Central Hudson is okay with this. I just wanted to make sure that everybody is satisfied
So
with
here's-
the response to the concern about,
Okay, so here's, this is, well, I mean, that's pretty simple. If you have an approval from Central Hudson, forward it to the secretary, she can distribute it to, to the professionals, to our staff, and it could be reviewed just to confirm that there's no conflicts.
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Now, I guess just for the record, so we're talking about, Mr. Shaw, which parcels, this is for the mosque, it's your mom's house and the mosque? Okay, but not the other parcel? Okay. So,
Okay. But the two parcels with house and the mosque are getting combined, that's involved with this project? Okay, perfect, all right.
and the application materials are suitable for work on both of the lots.
I don't know, he hasn't submitted yet for the lot consolidation.
No, I meant, the site plan that he's submitting now specifies one tax lot number, but shows work on two different
Well,
lots.
you have to give us the other
yeah, the
tax
other,
lot, and
the
it's
other
still
tax
separate.
lot is 218 Myers Corners Road.
Right,
Yeah.
so you have to amend that.
Amend the application materials to have both tax lot numbers, right? Because we're doing
Okay.
work on both of the tax lots.
Gotcha.
And probably also owner consent for both, yeah.
It's the same one.
Yeah.
You need two owner consents?
No,
No,
one,
okay,
but you
one's
should
fine.
amend the application to include both lots.
Both lot numbers, yeah.
Yeah, so the imam's house is 218 Myers Corners Road. Yes, it is.
Okay, all right, John,
Yeah,
You're good?
I think we touched on everything.
okay? All right, so I guess if that's it,
I guess the one other issue, kind of, it's not necessarily for the planning board, but the trench here, that's in the area where you're looking at putting the pavilion? No, it's not in that area? Okay.
okay. So the question comes in, this was submitted as this is hold on here. Just as a
Special permit.
Huh? Wrong one.
Well, it's subject to title.
Oh, okay, so special use permit, all right. So the question comes in, do we have to hold a public hearing for this? Or do we have the ability to waive the public hearing?
I believe this is considered to be a site plan, well, let's see. Building integrated
It's site plan.
solar is the site plan, subject to the same
This,
conditions as an original site plan, so. you
this is
could
not
waive it.
building integrated solar, though. That typically applies to a
s-
building whose function
Right.
is built with
I
solar.
mean, I believe it includes roof-mounted and building integrated, I should say.
Okay, gotcha.
Let me just check again. But I believe it's considered to be,
Yeah, he's in.
How many copies of the stamped plans would you like?
rooftop-mounted solar energy systems installed on new and existing buildings other than one-family dwellings are subject to site plan or special permit approval in the same manner as the building in which they are installed. So I think in this case, it doesn't require an additional special permit. So it would be a site plan.
So it's just basically a site plan application.
But it is a special use permit.
It is a site plan application. The question is it,
special.
with the special permit that they're applying for, is that going to require a public hearing? Because I believe on some site plans, I
Right.
believe that minimal in nature, we can waive the public hearing.
Right.
But on some cases with the special use permits, we're not allowed to waive the public hearing. I remember going back and forth in the
Right.
past over this one, I just can't remember. I mean, if it was just the site plan itself, I mean, this is
Yeah,
minimal.
no, it's, according to our code, a roof-mounted solar energy system is a permitted accessory use.
For a residential home.
No, this is on non-residential, this is in this non-residential schedule.
But it's in a residential zone.
Oh, is it
That's
in a
what I'm trying to
residential zone?
Yeah,
let's
that's
go
what I'm
to-
trying to go for here.
Yeah,
I would say if in doubt, do the public hearing.
So this is
No, that's what I'm trying to find out.
40?
If it's not,
come anyway.
yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying, if it's minimal and it was just a site plan only, then we can waive the public hearing. This is a minimal in nature. So it's almost to the point where it's an architectural review for the most part. We just want confirmation before.
Yeah, the only reference in the residential schedule of uses is solar farms, which this is not.
So it doesn't need that.
So it doesn't need it. So it's a permitted accessory use.
Okay, so it's not a,
So it's not.
so it's really not a
subject to
special permit then?
Right.
Okay, so it's just a site plan. Okay, so being that it's a site plan, then we can, it's just a site plan, and it's minimal in nature, we should have the ability to waive the
Correct.
public hearing. Okay, so with that,
And it's also a type, it's also a type 2 action.
it's what?
It's also
It's
a
a type 2 action.
Also a type, yes,
Yeah.
it's the, okay.
Second.
Okay, motion's made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion carries, so we won't have to have a public hearing.
I really appreciate it.
Okay, so yeah, so at this point, I mean, if you get all the information together, resubmit, and then we should be able to move forward.
Great. I
Okay.
will get that to you. Thanks for y'all's time.
Okay, thank you. All right. That's what we're doing. Okay. All right, so our next item on the agenda, we have two extensions. The first one is the Smith three-lot subdivision. They are requesting an extension to begin on July 3rd, 2022 through September 30th, 2022. So I entertain a motion.
So made.
Second.
Okay, so motion to approve and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the motion carries. The other one is, other extension is the Sikh Temple on Old Hopewell Road and All Angels Hill Road. They are looking for a one-year extension, retroactive back from May 4th, 2022, and extending through to May 3rd, 2023. So entertain.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah, motion. Okay.
Any thirds?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that motion carries. Okay, so at this time, entertain a motion to go into executive session
So move.
to discuss a legal issue with council.
Second that.
Okay, motion made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.